Hello everybody, and today in the studio I have a very special guest. My guest today is Durga from Nepal. Hello Durga, and welcome to the studio.
Hi Alan, thank you very much.
Now Durga is going to tell us all about the Nepalese language. Well, actually it's very complicated, so it won't be all about it, but it'll be extremely interesting. Before that, Durga, I'd just like to ask you, if I may, a little bit about Nepal itself, because it's probably a country that people don't know very much about. Could you first of all please tell us a little bit about the terrain of the country, Durga?
Yes, Nepal is a very small country situated in southeast of Asia, in between China and India. It has got some 13,000 mountains ranging from 6,000 meters in height. Obviously, Mount Everest is being the highest one, being 8,848 meters in height.
And I understand a lot of people go to Nepal for fantastic holidays, trekking and so on. Could you just tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, normally people go there for holidays, more sort of like adventurous type of holidays for trekking, mountaineering, high-speed river rafting, hiking, and etc.
So what about the population? What's the capital is Kathmandu?
Yes, the capital of Nepal is Kathmandu and it's got about 600,000 population, but the whole country has about 25 million population.
Oh, that's terrific. And could you tell us a little bit about the people themselves, the cultures and so on, please?
Yes, Nepal is multicultural and multi-ethnic nation. Different ethnic groups do follow their own tradition and culture. However, because Nepal is situated in between India and Tibet, northern Nepalese are more influenced by Tibetan culture, whereas southern Nepalese are more influenced by Indian culture.
Well, I think that was absolutely fascinating, Durga. Thank you very much. But we're here mainly to discuss the language, so can we start with the alphabet, please? How many letters are there in the Nepalese alphabet?
Yeah, there are 36 letters in the alphabet.
And do you have capital letters and small letters, as we do in English?
No, we don't.
So it's all quite simple, really.
Yeah, it sounds simple at the moment.
Ah, right. I detect there's a little hint there. Okay, so here we have the alphabet. Could you just pronounce all the letters, please, so that we can hear the sounds? Because I understand some of them are quite different to sounds in English.
Yeah, shall we start? It's k, k, g, g, ng, ch, ch, j, j, ny, t, t, d, d, n, t, th, d, d, n, p, p, b, b, m, y, r, l, u, s, k, s, h, ch, tr, y. That's all 36 letters, and they derive from Sanskrit.
Well, again, Durga, that was absolutely fascinating. The thing there are some sounds which I know I would never be able to pronounce in my whole life. Obviously, your ear is trained to those sounds, but it's very much the same as when people come to England from abroad. Often people that speak a different language, of course, can't pronounce th or w, and you have quite a lot of those in your alphabet. That's great. So we've got the 36 letters. Now, can we put those together to make some words, please?
Of course, shall we start with some simple words like pen? We say kalam. For home, we say ghar. For fire engine, we say damkol. For shop, we say pasal. For honey, we say maha. For bird, we call tsara.
Now, there's one thing I can't help noticing there, and that is that every word has a straight line across the top. Could you tell us a bit more about the way that's constructed, please?
Yes, every letter will have a straight line on the top, and when you form a word, you put the letters together and put the line across the top.
And do most letters have a vertical line as well?
All the letters will have a vertical line, yes.
So that all sounds quite simple and straightforward. You have 36 letters, you join them up with the horizontal bars across the top, and you can make any words that you wish. Have I understood that correctly?
Yes, you are quite right. There is no capital letters, small letters. It all sounds very simple to start with, but I haven't told you that each of the letter have 12 different variations. So basically 36 letters times 12 different variations is about some 432 different letters that you need to learn.
No, you're joking, aren't you? What you're telling me is that every child in Nepal that learns to write has to learn 432 possible variations of the letters.
Oh yes, of course, they will have to learn this.
Not quite sure what to say now because that comes a bit of a shock to me. But can you show us how this system works then? Where do these 12 possibilities come from, these variations?
These 12 different variations is based on the phonetic sounds. I will read them out to you now. A, E, U, A, I, O, A. So these are the sounds on which the 12 different variations are based.
So what you're saying is you take a letter, one of the original 36 letters, and you can add to it any of those 12 sounds that you've just pronounced.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, my brain's just getting a bit addled already, really. Okay, so can you show us how this works? And if we take one letter and add these 12 variations to it, what does that actually look like when you write it down?
Okay, shall we start with the very first letter, Ka, and I will say 12 different variations of Ka. So we say Ka, Ka, Ki, Ku, Ke, Kai, Ko, Kam, Ka.
What about the second letter? Just to make sure I've got it, you understand?
Of course, let's go through the second letter as well, which is Ka. Now, 12 variations of Ka is Ka, Ki, Ku, Ke, Kai, Ko, Kam, Ka. And let's do the third one as well. That's Ga. So Ga, Gi, Gu, Ge, Gai, Go, Gum, Ga.
That's amazing. Now, if I've understood you correctly, Durga, what you're saying is we don't combine the actual graphics when you write, we're just combining the sounds. Some people might look at the letter and then look at the sound you're adding and try to combine them to look like one of the variations, and that doesn't work because you're not combining the graphics, you're actually combining the sounds. Is that right? I've understood that correctly?
Yes, that's right.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad I've understood that. I'll tell you something though, Durga, I wouldn't like to be a child in Nepal trying to master all this. It must be a nightmare. Okay, so we've seen the letters, we've seen the 12 variations of each of the 36 letters, we've seen how we make up simple words by joining the letters together. And one thing I should point out here, of course, is your writing does go from left to right, just like we do in English. Other languages, of course, can go from right to left. Now can we have a look, please, at some simple sentences where we combine words together, and these will incorporate some of these new variations of sounds that you've just been talking about, I guess.
That's right.
How would you say, for example, how are you?
तपाईलाई कस्तो छ?
Now, I notice when we write that each word is joined together, as we've already seen, but there's a space between each word. And I've also noticed that, as you were saying it, that the longer words, of course, have more letters in them, which is exactly what you would expect. Okay, so how do you say, I am well?
मलाई आरामै छ.
And what is your name?
तपाईको नाम के हो?
Now, what is your name, of course, is a question, and I notice you have a question mark at the end, which is exactly the same as the English question mark. Is that right?
That's right.
So, how would you say my name is Durga?
मेरो नाम दुर्गा हो.
Couldn't help noticing there that Durga wasn't the last word in your sentence, was it? So there's something here about the grammar. Perhaps we'll come back to that in a moment.
Yeah, that's right.
What about I go to school at 8 o'clock in the morning?
म बिहान 8 बजे स्कुल जान्छु.
And what about I go swimming every evening at 5 o'clock?
म हरेक बेलुकी 5 बजे पौडी खेल्न जान्छु.
And lastly, honey is sweet.
मह गुलियो हुन्छ.
Okay, so that's the alphabet, and that's how you put the letters together to make words. What about the grammar, Durga? What is Nepalese grammar like for an English person?
Oh, Alan, don't ask about the grammar. For any non-Nepalese people, it will be a nightmare if you are trying to learn the Nepalese grammar. It's too much.
So could you just give us, please, one example of a grammatical rule that's a bit different to an English one?
Yes, for instance, in the earlier sentence I said about Mero Naam Durga Ho. So ho is the verb and that goes towards the end of the sentence.
Okay, well, to be honest, I think that's quite enough, don't you? I've absorbed as much as I can possibly get there. Could we just finish off with something nice and simple? What do Nepalese numbers look like? Presumably you have the same equivalent from 1 to 9 with a 0.
Here are the numbers and how you say this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So how would you say 999,999, Durga?
Here we go. 9,99,999.
I have to say, it's a very beautiful sounding language, isn't it? It sort of flows. It's got a nice rhythm to it. It's lovely.
Oh, is it? Did you like it?
Oh, yes. Very nice.
Did you learn it?
No, I haven't learnt the language, but I have learnt about your alphabet and your variations. I've learnt how to put letters together to make words. I've learnt one tiny grammatical rule that the verb normally goes at the end, and I've seen your numbers. I don't think I'm going to be able to speak it, but it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.